Good morning, Bookface. It is Monday, October 25th, and it's my turn to talk to you about some stuff. So this week I read Corriander. It was a YA book because it was teen read week last week, and I have to say it was just really nice to kind of read something a bit, I want to say, simpler than the things that I've been reading up until this point. I mean, I actually picked it because it had a really nice cover. It's set in London in the 1600s, so it's like it's written like the speech is really Shakespearean style prose, but kind of toned down for kids. In fact it's probably not. It was in the YA section, but I think it's probably 14 to 15 kind of age. But it was just a really nice story, and the prose were really nice and poetic. It's similar to in terms of what the story's about. It's similar to Stardust in like there's more than one world, and there's magic in it, and there's love in it, and then handsome princes. But there's also some really dark stuff in it, and it was just I read it practically from cover to cover. It didn't stress me out too much, but mainly because all I could focus on, all I needed to focus on really was the story, and it got me to thinking about reading critically, and how with a book reading critically is all I've been doing the English literature course, and with a book like this where you don't need to, it's like you don't miss anything, but you kind of read for a different purpose. I mean, the author Sally Gardner clearly didn't have. I mean, there are things which kind of you can read into, I suppose, but she clearly didn't have any other agenda than to tell what is described in the back as a modern-day fairy tale, and it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. I really enjoyed it. It was a really nice story. Next week, I've got notes because I'm trying to do this video in one take, so I've got notes. So I'm not going to hide that anymore. Here they are. Anyway, next week, because it's Halloween, I'm going to be reading it's essentially a ghost story. I'm going to be reading The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. It's about two evil kids, which scary, hopefully. So yeah, I'm going to be reading that. What was the notes again? NaNoWriMo is round the corner, and so tied into that is all this, what I was thinking about reading critically, and what are we going to have in store for our readers, are we going to be thinking we've got a metaphor and deep layers of meaning, or are we just going to aim to tell a story and maybe that comes after, or maybe it comes naturally? John Green said something the other day, or in one of his videos a while back, that I disagreed with, and that doesn't happen very often, but he was talking about reading critically, and he said that we read critically to understand others in the same way that we do ourselves. I'm probably misquoting, but something along those lines, and I disagree with that. I don't think we read critically for that, or at least we might do, but that's not fundamentally why we do. I think we fundamentally read critically to better understand ourselves. For example, Pride and Prejudice. I don't think it matters that Elizabeth is prejudiced in that novel. I think what matters is, as the author, and you're in the same shoes as her, it's also you that are prejudiced. It makes you ask questions to yourself. Well, why? What is it about the characteristics of the characters that Austen describes that makes me prejudiced towards them when I don't rightly know barely anything about them? I think that's far more important when we're reading critically, and I'm just wondering, as my question to this week is, what have you got in mind for your reader? What have you got in store for them? Katie, I loved the playlist that you got my my music down to a T. I'm definitely Team Elves. They're cleverer. They're better in battle. I just feel like fairies are fine, but they're always. We wouldn't have a main story. They're always a sidekick. Elves are just badass, and they can do all sorts of cool stuff. Fairies, always going to be a companion. In fact, I wrote a short story recently where the fairy was a companion. It would never have, Anyway, So yeah, my question is this week: what have you got in store for your reader? Are you gonna just write them a story, or are you gonna write them layers of meaning for them to unravel, or does that just happen naturally anyway? Yeah, okay. Lauren, I'll see you tomorrow.